The afternoon sun filtered through the lace curtains in our little kitchen, painting everything in soft golden light. I can still smell the tomato soup simmering on the stove, that familiar, comforting scent that used to mean home and safety. Noah sat at the wooden table, his small tongue poking out in concentration as he colored a bright green dinosaur with chunky crayons. His tiny fingers left smudges of color on the paper, and every now and then he would look up at me with those big, trusting eyes and say, "Mommy, look, he's flying." I smiled, wiping my hands on my faded blue apron. "He's beautiful, baby, just like you." My name is Alina, 33 years old, a widow for 2 years now. Ever since a rainy night took my husband Michael away in a car accident that still feels like yesterday. After he was gone, my family stepped in like guardian angels. My mother brought warm casseroles and sat with me through the darkest nights. My sister Claire helped with laundry and played endless games with Noah. My father offered quiet strength and promises that we would never be alone. They called Noah their little miracle and told me I was still their precious girl. I believed them with all my heart. But what I didn't know, as I stirred the soup and listened to Noah hum a silly song, was that my family had already begun the slow, careful work of erasing me from existence. They were writing me out of my own son's story, planning to make me disappear so completely that one day Noah might grow up believing his mother had simply faded away, too broken, too sick, too unworthy to stay. The phone rang, cutting through the peaceful afternoon like a distant warning bell. It was my mother. Her voice came through soft and sweet, wrapped in that familiar, motherly warmth. "Alina, darling, your father and I have been talking late into the night. We're so worried about you, sweetheart. Raising little Noah all by yourself after losing Michael, it's too heavy a burden for one young woman. A boy needs a stable home, with family around him who can give him everything he deserves." I laughed gently, not wanting to seem ungrateful. "Mom, we're doing okay. Noah is happy here. I'm managing the best I can. Thank you for caring." There was a brief silence on the line, just long enough for a tiny seed of unease to settle in my chest. Then she replied, even softer, "We only want what's best for our grandson. Alina, maybe it's time we all sat down together as a family and talked about the future." I hung up the phone, still smiling, because good daughters smile even when something feels slightly off. I went back to the stove, kissed the top of Noah's curly head, and told myself everything was fine. But that night, as I tucked him into bed and watched his eyelids flutter closed, a quiet whisper echoed in my mind. Something is coming. I just didn't know how dark it would get. The changes started subtly. Like the first cold winds before a storm, Claire began showing up almost every afternoon. She would arrive with bright gift bags from expensive stores, shiny remote control cars, oversized stuffed dinosaurs that cost more than my weekly groceries, little outfits with tiny collars and buttons. Noah would squeal with delight and throw his arms around her. "Auntie Claire, you're the best." She would hug him tightly, then turn to me with those perfectly practiced, concerned eyes. "You look so tired, sis. There are shadows under your eyes. When was the last time you had a full night's sleep? Let us help you. We're family. That's what we do." My father was more direct. During one Sunday lunch at their big house, he pulled me aside into the study lined with old books and family photos. "Alina, I've set aside some money for a nice, quiet retreat. A place where you can rest, talk to professionals, and heal properly. We'll watch Noah while you're away. Just a few weeks, he'll be surrounded by people who love him." When I gently refused, saying Noah needed his mother close, his smile faltered. "You're being stubborn, my girl. This isn't only about you anymore. Think of what's best for the child." I felt the first real sting then, like a small thorn pressing into my heart. The turning point came on Noah's 5th birthday. The family home was decorated beautifully, balloons in every color floating near the high ceiling, fresh flowers on the table, and a large chocolate cake with 5 bright candles waiting in the center. Noah's face lit up like the sun when he saw it. He clapped his little hands and blew out the candles in one big, determined breath while we all sang happy birthday. After the cake was cut and Noah was happily smearing frosting on his cheeks, my mother slid a thick manila envelope across the polished dining table. The room suddenly felt too warm, too quiet. I opened it with trembling fingers. Inside were official medical reports from a psychiatrist I had never met or spoken to. Pages detailing severe, ongoing depression and unstable emotional states that supposedly made me a potential danger to my child. There were signed statements, one from my brother Daniel, claiming he once saw me screaming uncontrollably at Noah in a grocery store parking lot. Another from a neighbor I barely knew, saying I had left my son alone for hours on end. My father's signature was already on the petition for emergency custody of Noah. The papers shook in my hands. The laughter from moments earlier felt like it belonged to another life. Noah was still playing with his new toy dinosaur on the floor, completely unaware that the adults around him were deciding his future without me. "Mom, Dad, what is all this?" My voice came out small, broken, barely above a whisper. My mother reached for my hand, her touch once so comforting, now feeling distant. "We're doing this out of love, Alina. You need real, professional help, sweetheart. A safe facility where you can focus on getting better. We'll take care of Noah in the meantime. He'll have stability, grandparents who adore him, cousins to play with. It's only temporary until you're strong again." But her eyes told a different truth. They were calm, focused, almost relieved. Like a long-planned weight was finally being lifted. I drove home that evening with Noah asleep in his car seat, his small hand still sticky with cake. The streetlights blurred through my tears. I felt shattered inside, like every memory of family warmth had been painted over with lies. These were the same people who held me when Michael died. The same voices that prayed over Noah when he was born. Now, they were preparing to take him away and rewrite history so neatly that I would vanish from his life. A few days later, Claire visited again under the pretense of checking on us. She played loudly with Noah in the living room while I made tea in the kitchen. She left her laptop open on the table. I didn't plan to look, but curiosity and a growing fear pulled me closer. What I found tore the last threads of trust apart. Hundreds of emails stretching back several months. Conversations between my parents, Claire, Daniel, their longtime family lawyer, and even a private investigator they had hired to document my condition. They had forged my signature on a power of attorney document. They had consulted with a private mental health facility known for discreet, long-term admissions. There were drafts of statements ready for court, and worst of all, a folder labeled Final Arrangements, containing a carefully written obituary. It read, "Alina Thompson, beloved daughter and devoted mother, tragically lost her long and quiet battle with mental illness. She leaves behind her precious son Noah, who will be lovingly raised by his grandparents and extended family in her memory." They didn't just want custody, they wanted me erased. Gone so completely that no questions would ever be asked. So cleanly that Noah might one day search for answers and find only their version of the truth. that his mother had been too weak, too unstable, and had chosen to disappear. I closed the laptop with shaking hands and locked myself in the bathroom. I slid down to the cold tile floor, pressed my face into my knees, and cried until my body ached. Waves of heartbreak washed over me again and again. I felt exposed, raw, utterly destroyed. How could the hands that once rocked me to sleep now sign papers to bury me? How could the voices that once called me Miracle Girl now plan to make me a ghost in my own child's life? Noah knocked softly on the door later. "Mommy, are you okay? I made you a picture." I wiped my face, opened the door, and pulled him into my arms. His small body was warm and trusting. In that moment, something shifted deep inside me. The pain was still there, crushing and heavy, but beneath it, a quiet, fierce determination began to grow. I whispered to myself in the mirror that night, after Noah was asleep, "They think they are burying me. But seeds grow in the dark. I will not disappear." From then on, I stopped showing panic. I became careful. I saved every email screenshot I could access. I started recording phone calls where they tried to pressure me into signing documents for Noah's sake. I reached out quietly to a small, independent lawyer in a neighboring town who had no connections to my family's respected name. I documented every visit, every gift, every seemingly kind offer that now felt like a trap. The nights were the hardest. I would lie awake listening to Noah's soft breathing from the next room, my heart aching with fear and love. I felt broken in places I didn't know existed. But every morning I got up, made breakfast, hugged my son, and kept gathering the pieces of truth they thought were safely hidden. The custody hearing was scheduled for a bright Tuesday morning in early spring. Cherry blossoms were just beginning to bloom outside the courthouse windows. My family arrived first, dressed in their most respectable clothes, my mother in a soft pastel blouse, my father in a crisp shirt, Claire and Daniel looking concerned and supportive. They spoke softly to the judge about their deep love for Noah and their only desire to protect him from an unstable situation. When it was my turn, I stood slowly. My legs felt unsteady, but my voice remained calm and clear, carrying the weight of months of quiet pain. Noah sat beside my lawyer, clutching his favorite stuffed dinosaur tightly, his eyes wide as he watched everything unfold. "Your Honor," I began, "before any decision is made, I ask that you listen to the truth that has been hidden from you." I placed a small recorder on the table and pressed play. The courtroom fell silent as my mother's recorded voice filled the air, unmistakable and calm. "Once she is safely admitted to the facility, we can explain to Noah that his mother needed help and chose to step away for a while. Children are resilient. They forget these things with time and love." My father's voice followed, measured, and practical. "The obituary draft is prepared. We'll frame it gently, perhaps a tragic accident or the result of her illness. It will be cleaner for the family and for Noah's future." Claire's voice came next, a little hushed but clear. "The power of attorney looks authentic. No one will question the paperwork once she's no longer in the picture." The silence that followed was heavy. My mother's face turned pale, her carefully composed expression cracking. Claire began to cry loud, theatrical sobs, but this time the tears seemed hollow. My father stared straight ahead, unable to meet my gaze. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, all confidence gone. The judge reviewed the additional evidence I had submitted, screenshots, timestamps, witness statements from my lawyer. He didn't need long to decide. Emergency custody was returned to me immediately. He ordered a full investigation into the forged documents, the false medical reports, and the coordinated effort to have me institutionalized against my will. In the weeks that followed, the consequences unfolded quietly but relentlessly. Word spread through our tight-knit community. My father was asked to step down from his longtime position on the church board where he had served with pride for decades. Claire's social circle began to pull away as old friends distanced themselves from the scandal. Invitations dried up. The perfect family image they had cultivated for years started to fracture under the weight of their exposed choices. I didn't chase further punishment. I didn't seek to take their home or their savings. Watching them face the natural results of their actions, the isolation, the whispers, the loss of respect they once took for granted, felt like a measured form of justice. They had tried to bury me in silence. Instead, their own secrets had brought light to the truth. Today, Noah and I live in a modest yellow house near the gentle flowing river. The backyard has room for him to run freely, chase butterflies, and swing on the simple set we built together. His bedroom walls are covered with his colorful dinosaur drawings, some crooked, some bright, all full of joy. He still has moments when he climbs into my lap in the evening and asks in his soft voice, "Mommy, why don't we see Grandma and Grandpa anymore? Did I make them sad?" I hold him close, breathe in the sweet scent of his hair, and answer as honestly and gently as I can, "No, my love." Sometimes, the people who are supposed to love us the most get lost in their own fears and make choices that hurt others. But we are safe here. We have each other, and that is the strongest kind of family. Nights on the front porch have become my quiet sanctuary. I sit with a warm cup of tea, listening to the river whisper below and the distant call of night birds. My heart is no longer in shattered pieces. It carries deep scars. Yes, reminders of the pain I walked through, but those scars have made it more resilient, more compassionate, and wiser than before. I look up at the endless sky filled with stars and feel a soft, steady peace settling over me. A peace I once believed I would never find again. If you are listening to my story tonight and you have ever felt your own family try to make you feel small, invisible, or unworthy of the life and love you hold dear, please let these words reach the deepest part of your heart. You are not crazy for trusting and then feeling the pain of betrayal. You are not broken beyond repair. You are a mother, a survivor, a woman with quiet strength that no lie can erase. Protect what matters most to you with steady courage. Gather your truth one careful piece at a time. Speak it clearly when the moment comes. And if they try to bury you or erase your place in the world, remember that you are a seed. Bloom anyway. Grow into someone brighter and stronger than they ever imagined. The most powerful form of justice. And revenge is not loud destruction or bitter anger. It is rising quietly, healing deeply, living fully with your child, and showing the world the love and light they tried to dim. I'm Alina. I'm still here, breathing freely, holding my little boy's hand, and walking forward into a future filled with hope instead of fear. Thank you for spending this time with me and my story. If it touched something inside you, if it reminded you of your own hidden strength, please share it with someone who might need to hear they are not alone in their pain or their fight. Leave a comment below. If you feel safe to do so, have you ever faced a betrayal from those closest to you? How did you find the courage to stand again? Until the next story. Hold your light gently but firmly. Love your children fiercely. And never let anyone convince you that you do not deserve to exist fully and beautifully in this world. You matter. Your voice matters. And you will rise